Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us for an afternoon in the Science Basement. My name is Chiara Facciotto, and I'm going to be your host for today. Before introducing the amazing Aalto-Helsinki iGEM team that is going to give today's talk, I would like to tell you a little bit about our organization, the Science Basement. Let me just get to the slides. So for those of you that are joining us for the first time in this afternoon in the Science Basement kind of talk series, this is a monthly series of talks that we have. Before Corona, we used to have them in the city center of Helsinki in person on Saturday afternoons. And as everybody else, we had to adapt to the pandemic. So we started having the talks online. So now they are on Thursday, late afternoon, once a month. So the last Thursday of the month. And this talk is a little bit special because it's also part of the European Biotech Week, which is this European initiative to kind of celebrate the progress of biotechnology in the last few years. So the Science Basement is a non-profit organization that was started by PhD students at University of Helsinki, and it has now expanded. We have both undergraduate and graduate students, also a few postdocs, and we have also some members from Aalto University. And we basically offer a platform for our for young researchers getting started in their career and that they want to try and communicate their research and their science to the general public. So we have a few, let's call them stable projects that we carry out throughout the year. The afternoons in the Science Basement talk is one of them. Then we have a podcast, we have a few blogs, and we also collaborate with artists sometimes for some art events or initiatives and so on. And then we are very welcoming on the new people with new ideas. So if you have a new idea and you're looking for people to help you out to do your science communication, then you should definitely join one of our editorial meetings and let us know about your idea, and we can see what kind of support we can give you. And please also, like, we are present in all the main social media, so you can always find out more about what do we do there. Actually, one new initiative that we are launching this month is a Science Communication Journal Club. This is a bit more for scientists than for general audience, but we are going to read some research related to how better communicate science so that we can also learn more and improve what we do in the organization. And the Science Basement is growing, like we have quite a few members, and here you can see the team actually behind the afternoon in Science Basement talk. So these are not all our members, but just the people behind this talk series. So as you can see, it takes quite a few people to keep this up and running, and we will invite them later during the Q&A part of the event so that you can also see them, meet some of them. And the last thing that I would like to mention is that this year the Science Basement is part also, like, joined this initiative called the Year of Research-Based Knowledge, which is basically an initiative organized by the Ministry of Education and Culture, together with the Academy of Finland and the Federation of Finnish Learned Societies. And it basically aims to make research-based knowledge more visible and accessible. And yes. So yes, we are part of this initiative and very happy to be there. Yeah, so this was all. If you are interested in know more, as I said, you can check out our social media or contact us directly via email. And now I think I will stop sharing my screen. And I am very happy to welcome Iris, Sally, and Emma, that are part of the Aalto-Helsinki iGEM team, and they will tell us more about their amazing project that they carried out in only 3 months. Unbelievable. Please.
Yes, thank you for the introduction, and I'll share my screen. Maybe before we start the presentation, we can present us speakers briefly. So well, I can start. I am Emma. I'm the team vice leader this year for Aalto-Helsinki 2021, and I'm a student of biology and life science technologies as well. So maybe Sally can go.
Hi, I'm Sally, and I'm a student at the University of Helsinki, in the Masters in Microbiology and Microbial Biotechnology program. And I'm the team leader this year for Team Aalto-Helsinki. And now Iris.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Iris, and I'm doing my bachelor's in molecular biosciences at the University of Helsinki.
Okay, now we should be all set and you should see my screen, so we can get started then with the actual presentation.
Okay, so hey everyone and welcome to our presentation. We are Team Aalto-Helsinki and we are participating to the world's largest synthetic biology competition called iGEM. And today we are presenting our project and focusing more on the background of it. And here we have a few questions we would like to answer during our presentation. So firstly, what is synthetic biology and what can be achieved with it? And how is synthetic biology related to mental health? And can our gut environment influence our mental health state? And lastly, how could we study our gut health? And we hope these questions help you navigate through these presentations and in the end understand why these topics are so important to us. Okay, so let's start the presentation with introduction to iGEM. So iGEM stands for International Genetically Engineered Machine. And as I mentioned, it is the world's largest synthetic biology competition. And we have approximately 350 teams participating from over 40 different countries all over the world. And the purpose of iGEM is to allow students to solve local and global challenges using synthetic biology and to create a research project of their own. Okay, so introducing our team. This is our whole team. We are a student-based team with students both from the University of Helsinki and Aalto University. And we have all very different backgrounds. For example, we are very international and we have different study backgrounds. And some of us are bachelor students, but most of us are in our master's studies. And what we share is the passion for science. And as we are very multidisciplinary as a team, we have expertise from various different fields, such as molecular biology, microbiology, translational medicine, engineering, and even psychology. And during this project, however, requires a lot more skills than those I mentioned. And during this journey of iGEM, we have used our skills, all learned new skills, for example, in graphic design, education and outreach, and business and marketing. So as can be seen, iGEM is not only a biology competition, but also it teaches us that students a lot of other skills that are essential in working life. And one of the most important lessons we have learned during this journey is that, you don't have to know everything beforehand, but we have to be passionate about learning. Okay, so first I would like to introduce synthetic biology to you. And for example, we could define synthetic biology like this. Synthetic biology is a field of science that involves redesigning organisms for useful purposes by engineering them to have new abilities. And one of the simplest and most used ways of synthetic biology is redesigning microorganisms such as bacteria or viruses. And because microorganisms are easy to grow and very fast to grow, and also their genes are very easy to edit. And that's why synthetic biologists like using them to create new synthetic biology tools. And with synthetic biology, we can develop new solutions to global challenges. For example, without synthetic biology, we wouldn't be able to mass produce insulin. And synthetic biology offers us solutions to process antibiotic waste and preventing antibiotic resistance from spreading. And it also provides us innovations for sustainable farming and low emission alternatives for consumers for example, to slow down the climate change. And as we know, antibiotic resistance and climate change both are huge global concerns, and they require new solutions as soon as possible. And that's when synthetic biology comes into the picture. And speaking of global challenges, mental health is also one of them. But how can synthetic biology help us understand our mental health, you may ask? With synthetic biology, we can create tools to research phenomena around us from completely new perspectives. Synthetic biology helps us understand the biological pathways, which help us explore correlations between our biological systems and mental health, for example. And new research methods can increase our knowledge and pave the way for development of new diagnostic and therapeutic solutions. Okay, so to get to the background of our project, I would like to ask you one quick question first. So please put your answers to the chat. So according to the Finnish Institute for Health and Welfare, what % of Finns experienced psychological distress in 2020? Is it A, 3%, B, 10%, or C, 14%? And yeah, go ahead and put your answers to the chat. Okay, I see a lot of answers coming and a lot of different answers, but the correct answer actually is C, so 14%. And for the record, in year 2018, it was only 12%. So we can say that the global pandemic has actually really challenged our mental well-being. Okay, so what is mental health? According to World Health Organization, mental health is a state of well-being, and it's much more than just the absence of mental disorders. It is also just as important as our physical health and can't be determined by any single factors, but multiple different ones, such as the environment, social relationships, lifestyle, and biological factors like genetics or neurochemistry. And as mentioned, it is a global concern and it affects us all. And it's also the leading cause of disability worldwide. And it is also a leading cause of disability here in Finland. And as can be seen from this graph, there is 52% of disability pensions that are caused by mental health disorders, and that is a lot. Okay, so we have another question. What age groups experiences the most psychological distress here in Finland? Is it A, people in their 20s, 30s, or 50s? And you can put your answer to the chat again. Okay, a lot of you guessed it right. The correct answer is actually A. So the most psychological strain experienced is by the 20 to 29 years old. And that's also one of the reasons why we were so interested in developing new solutions to tackle mental health issues, because it affects mostly people our age. Okay, moving on to mental health and COVID-19. And as we learned earlier, COVID-19 has really challenged our mental well-being and thus underlined the need for new and better mental health treatments. And even though we understand the importance of mental health and its multifactorial nature, the underlying mechanisms are still very unclear. And these things are the biggest motivations why we wanted to create this research project. So to understand the connections between our biological mechanisms and mental health, the gut-brain axis.
Like previously mentioned, the gut-brain or the mental health is affected by many different factors. And one biological factor that greatly impacts mental health is the gut-brain axis. The gut-brain axis is a communication pathway connecting the human intestines to the brain through immune, hormone, and nerve signals. And the gut-brain axis provides a link between our gut health and our mental health. The gut-brain axis has been associated with many different diseases. To name a few is obesity, neurodegenerative diseases, and mental health issues like depression. However, current research is still developing about the gut-brain axis, and the exact details of this connection are still unclear. But we know one thing, and that is that the microbiota greatly affects the gut-brain axis. And gut microbiota are bacteria that live in and around our intestines. The type and amount of bacteria in our gut can be inherited from birth through vaginal delivery or breastfeeding, but they can also be impacted by a lot of other factors. For example, diet, age, physical activity, and drug use. In the human body, the microbiota are helpful in digesting food and developing our immune system. And they can even protect us from disease-causing microbes. So while the exact number differs between people due to their genetics and environment, on average, how many species of bacteria do you think live in your gut? Again, you can send your answers in the chat. So A, around 100, B, around 1,000, or C, 1 million or more. Okay, a lot of good answers coming in. So maybe we can go to the next slide. And the correct answer is B, about 1,000 different species of bacteria. And this correlates to about 4 kilograms of microorganisms. So it's a lot, it's a huge impact on your body. The composition of one person's gut microbiota can have a lot of different implications on their health. But for our team, the most surprising impact of the gut microbiota is the impact on mental health through the gut-brain axis. The gut microbiota are important in producing several neurotransmitters that are transported from the intestines to the central nervous system and then the brain. So for example, the bacteria Bifidobacterium angulatum can produce the neurotransmitter GABA, which is linked to stroke, repair, and seizures. Other gut bacteria like Clostridium leptum can produce molecules called short-chain fatty acids, and these are linked to memory, learning, and immune function. Another mechanism in which the gut microbiota is able to influence gut health is through the regulation of the tryptophan metabolism. Tryptophan is an essential amino acid that we get from our diet, and it's a precursor to several neuroactive molecules like serotonin. The bacteria in our gut take tryptophan from our food, break it down into many different molecules. And the different ways in which bacteria break down the tryptophan leads to different neuroactive compounds. And these neuroactive compounds are called tryptophan metabolites. And the imbalance of these tryptophan products has been associated with mental health issues like depression and bipolarity.
So we know that the gut and the brain are connected through the tryptophan pathway and that the communication flows in both directions. And we also understand why the tryptophan pathway is so important to us. But however, what we don't know is how this mechanism really works and what is its role and correlation with our mental health. And this is why we have developed Gutlax, which is a novel research tool for research of the gut microbiota and tryptophan metabolism activity inside the human body. So the goal of our research project and our research tool, which is the product of this whole summer project called Gutlax, is to provide a new research tool to measure the activities of the tryptophan pathway inside our guts. And with the tryptophan, with the measurement, we are targeting the metabolites, which are small molecules produced from the breakdown of the tryptophan itself. In addition, we also want to develop a user-friendly and safe mechanism to conduct research inside the human body and be able to access areas we haven't been able to research before. And also, we wanted to design a system that could be used for research in other areas in the future. So our design for the capsule is can be modified and then applied to detect, for example, a variety of different metabolites that can be associated with different health conditions in addition to mental health. But what is actually Gutlax and how does it work? So the research with Gutlax capsule works in 3 main steps. So first, while the capsule is going inside our body, it will measure the concentrations of small molecules produced from the tryptophan breakdown inside our gut. And when the measurement is ongoing, the capsule will send its measurement data outside of the body to a receiver carried by the participant in the research who has ingested the capsule. And this way we are able to transmit data about the tryptophan activity inside the gut outside of the body with using wireless connection. And once the capsule has traveled through the human body, the measurement stops and the receiver device is returned to the researcher, who is then able to further analyze and process the data. And this way we can gain valuable information on what is happening inside our gut while it's actually happening there. So how does the application of the capsule look in practice? So first we have the participant in the research who will swallow the capsule. And the Gutlax capsule has been designed to be a vitamin-sized small capsule so that it travels through the gastrointestinal system like any other food would. And the capsule moves through the gastrointestinal system, and once it reaches our intestines, the engineered cells within our capsule will start detecting the target molecules which are located in the intestines. And once we are able to detect a molecule of interest, a biological mechanism located within the engineered cells launches the production of green fluorescent protein, which results in a glow of green light from the cells. And this green light can be then converted into an electrical signal by our electronic system, and which then sends the data outside of the body. And this data is then received by the collection device carried by the participant, and the data is also stored to the receiver device into a local memory. And once the measurement is ending, the capsule will be excreted naturally and it will go on to recycling. And then the receiver device, which has stored all the valuable data, is returned for the researcher, who is able then to conduct further data analysis. And our mechanism focuses on the tryptophan pathway, and by using synthetic biology, we are able to measure the small molecules of tryptophan pathway with the biological detection mechanism. So how are we then actually able to measure the small molecules and use the biological mechanisms of the bacteria to produce measurable signal and data that can be then used for the research purposes? So once our target molecules are present inside the gut, the target molecules enter our capsule through a filter system, which will lead them to a liquid containing our engineered cells, which can be seen here on the capsule on the left side. And once our target metabolites reach inside of the cell, they will go to the cytoplasm, which is the inside of the cell, and find our protein complex, which helps transport the metabolites to their target location. So we see here that the metabolites are attached to the protein complex, And after they are attached, the protein complex goes forward to transport them where we can find the actual DNA and proteins can be produced. And during the transportation, the proteins, there are many proteins involved in this process, and the complex will undergo several modifications. And this enables the binding to the DNA to the correct location, which then starts the production of green fluorescent protein, and we are able to detect green light. So this way, we are able to use the mechanism of the bacteria and the proteins to target the metabolites and then be able to see visible green glowing light inside the capsule. And this way, we can also gain knowledge on the molecules of the tryptophan pathway and then find out how they impact our health by understanding their correlation with our well-being. So we have talked about mental health, gut microbiota, and how we can understand the gut-brain axis through scientific research. But how does this project work and our research impact our community as a whole? So to understand the possibilities of science and raise awareness on synthetic biology, we also wanted to increase and promote science communication and education by reaching out to different groups from primary kids to university students and all who are interested in science. And this is why we have crafted Science Kit for Kids and produced an educational pamphlet for primary school kids to teach them about key concepts in biology, such as our genes and DNA. And we are also hosting a workshop at Science Museum Heureka, where kids can try out our experiments during their visit to the museum and get some hands-on experience on synthetic biology. We also wanted to make science more approachable by producing educational content on our Instagram account and hosting a student-led science podcast, the Aalto-Helsinki podcast, where we cover topics ranging from synthetic biology to studies and career paths in science. And we also discuss with several researchers and experts from different fields of science. And this way we're able to promote scientific discussion and raise awareness on how synthetic biology actually works, and hopefully also change perspectives on genetically modified organisms through education.
So we will present our project, the final results of the Gutlux project at the iGEM competition, which is called the Giant Jamboree. And the Giant Jamboree this year takes place online from November 4th to November 14th. And if you're interested in watching our video, you can look at the iGEM website. So we will present our entire project at the Giant Jamboree with a presentation video. And there's also a possibility to win several different prizes. For example, best project or best presentation. But after the Giant Jamboree, we're unsure still if we would like to continue the Gutlux project. But we will start recruiting the next year's Aalto-Helsinki iGEM team. So that will start in December. So then next year, a whole new group of 10 students will create and execute their own synthetic biology research project. And then to conclude our presentation, we just wanted to give you a little quiz to kind of refresh your memory. So the first question we have, and you can, of course, can write your answers in the chat. True or false, do you think that the microbiota in our gut can impact our mental health? Great answers. Yes, the correct answer is that yes, this is true. And we hope that you were able to pick that up from our presentation.
Okay, so next question. This should be easy, I hope. So what is Gutlax? Is it A brand of high fiber oatmeal, or B, a microbiota research tool, or C, a fish found in the Baltic Sea? Okay, great. You have been listening to our presentation very well. So the correct answer is B. It is a microbiota research tool.
And our final question for you guys is, what are the goals of our project? So first, is it A, to raise awareness on gut and mental health? B, develop a new tool for mental health research? C, educate about synthetic biology? Or D, all of the above? And I can see again a lot of correct answers going to the chat. So yes, the correct answer is D, all of the above, and a much more that we have described. So to end our presentation, we want to conclude with some takeaways. So from our presentation, we hope that you understand that mental health is a combination of social, environmental, psychological, and biological factors. And this is why we need to approach the research and treatment of mental health from multiple different perspectives. Secondly, the microorganisms that inhabit us have a big impact on our well-being. So while some of the connections within the gut microbiota and disease states have been established, there's still a lot to be discovered in this field, and many connections that might reveal themselves to be really crucial for our well-being. And our ultimate goal is to give new perspectives on mental health and to develop a research tool to further investigate the gut-brain axis. And this way we can provide the researcher a whole new way of accessing an area for research that haven't been able to access before. And to conclude our presentation, we also want to thank our university partners from Aalto University and University of Helsinki, who have been giving us a lot of expert advice and making our project possible as a whole. And we also want to thank our industry sponsors who have enabled us to conduct an exceptional research project again this year and made everything possible for us and our team. So we want to thank you all for listening. And if you want to read more about our project, you can check our social media accounts on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And you can also go and see our podcast, the Aalto-Helsinki podcast from Spotify or Apple Podcasts as well. So now we're ready for your questions, and we'll stay here online and have some more of our team join as panelists as well.